Welcome to a whirlwind tour of Toronto's silver screen history. The 1930s were a decade of glitz, glamour, and massive transitions for the city's moviegoers. Grab your popcorn as we look back at the decade where the talkies truly took over. 1930, the golden age of openings. This year was a blockbuster for expansion, marked by the arrival of the cooperative theater listings in the Toronto Star. March 31st, the Mayfair Theatre makes its grand debut. July 5th, Famous Players expands its empire with the opening of the Imperial Theatre. October 27th, the glamour continues as Famous Players opens the Hollywood Theatre. Expansion spree. A wave of new neighborhood spots arrived, including the classic, Crown, Grant, Kenwood, and the wonderfully named Come See. Changing hands. B&F Theaters officially opened the Carlton at 509 Parliament. The rebrand. It was a big year for name changes. The Pantages was rechristened the Imperial, and Shays Hippodrome simplified its identity to just Shays. Curtain call. Not everyone made the cut. The Victoria Theatre officially closed its doors this year. 1931. Shifts and shuffles. The industry reorganized as Cooperative rebranded to Community Theaters, and the suburbs began to see more action. December 4th, Associated Theaters brings the Odeon to life. New kid on the block. The Crescent, the La Plaza, and the Westin, a Famous Players venture, all opened for business. The Burbs. Eddie Boko got its own Rex Theater. The Name Game. Community Theaters took the Globe and turned it into the Roxy. Meanwhile, in Oshawa, the new Martin Theatre was rebranded as the Marks. Final bow. The Regal at 1473 Queen took its final exit this year. 1932. The rise of Associated Theaters. Associated Theaters spent the year on a shopping spree, gobbling up neighborhood favorites and expanding their footprint. The takeover. Associated Theaters took control of the Comeback, Hudson, Review, the Rex, Mimico, and the Victoria. January 4th, a new Roxy Theatre opened its doors at 75 Queen. February 29th, just in time for a leap year, the Beverly was first listed by Associated Theaters. November 30th, the Oxford officially joined the Associated listings. December 27th, the year ended with the opening of the Circle Theatre. Identity crisis. The Gerrard Theatre decided to go back to its roots, renaming itself the Bonita once again. 1933. New players and final farewells. As the landscape shifted, premier theaters entered the publishing game, and B&F, Bloom & Fine, solidified their territory. B&F takeovers. By October 7th, the Beaver was under B&F management, followed by the La Plaza, which they snatched from Famous Players. March 20th, the Brock Theatre opened via Associated Theaters. March 23rd, the King Theatre made its debut in the Associated listings. November 13th, the Oriole Theatre officially opened its doors. The end of an era. We said a final goodbye to two staples this year as both the Colonial and the Tech Theaters closed down for good. 1934, a year of new curtains and final bows. The year started with a bang as new venues popped up across the map, though a few local favorites unfortunately dimmed their lights for the last time.
I heard it's even better than the first one.
Oh, absolutely. Myrna Loy is simply marvelous.
We must hurry if we want good seats.
April 21st, the Century Theatre makes its grand debut. May, Aurora gets a new crown jewel with the opening of the Royal. September 1st, the Palace celebrates a fresh start with its grand reopening. September 5th, the Embassy rises at the former Victoria site. October 5th, a transformation occurs as the Standard reopens its doors as the Strand. New arrivals. The Academy, opened by B&F. the Cameo, and the King 2 all join the circuit. Islington update. The Strand opens in Islington, though its closing date remains a mystery of history.
The final curtain. We said goodbye to the comeback. The Danforth, the Model, and the Princess, all of which closed their doors in 1934.
1935. Takeovers and true drama. 1935 was defined by a massive shift in power as independent theaters expanded their empire, taking over the Circle, Kingswood, Come See, Lyndhurst, Odeon, and Oriole. March 3rd, tragedy strikes the industry when the owner of the Roxy is murdered during a robbery. August 15th, Associated Theaters brings The Granada to life. August 22nd, the curtains go up at the Paramount. September 9th, a massive day for cinema. The Arcadian and the Bloordale are opened by Associated Theaters. The Standard is taken over by independent theaters and renamed The Strand. October 23rd, Famous Players officially opens The Family. New additions, both the Center and the Queen open their doors to eager audiences. 1936, the golden era glitz. The momentum didn't stop. Independent theaters continued their streak by taking over the Cameo and the Hudson, while some of the most iconic names in the business made their move. April 2nd, Famous Players unveils the stunning Eglinton Theatre. April 12th, high stakes and high drama arrive with the opening of the Casino. June 18th, Associated Theaters opens the Allenby. September 7th, B&F Theaters debuts the Lansdowne. October 8th, the formerly closed Come Back gets a second lease on life, reopening as the Adelphi via Associated Theaters. October 23rd, Famous Players expands again with the opening of The Village. Christmas Day, December 25th, a holiday gift for moviegoers. Lowe's Uptown celebrates a grand reopening. The Bayview in North York is opened by 20th Century Theaters. Rounding out the year, the Apollo is officially opened by B&F Theaters. 1937, a year of grand openings and fresh starts. The year kicked off with a flurry of activity as Associated Theaters expanded their empire, taking over the Doric and making waves on January 11th with the grand opening of Radio City. Not to be outdone, the duo of Bloom and Fine unveiled the Scarborough on February 27th. By the time spring arrived, the Garden Theatre made its debut, or at least its first splash in the papers, on April 17th. As summer heated up, so did the competition. June 15th, B&F Theaters celebrated the opening of The Community. August 16th, a transformation took place at 75 Queen West as the Roxy shed its old skin to become the Broadway. August 31st, the Grant Theatre triumphantly reopened its doors to the public. The autumn breeze brought even more changes. On September 13th, independent theaters gave the old Lyndhurst a second act, reopening it as the Esquire. Just weeks later, on October 1st, the Paradise opened its doors, followed quickly by B&F's debut of the Bellevue on October 14th. By November 15th, the Loretta officially joined the Bloom and Fine roster. Before the year was out, the Pastime Theatre rebranded as the Fox, while the final curtain fell for the Lyndhurst, the Major St. Clair, and the Park Theatres. 1938. Rebranding and holiday magic. The momentum continued into 1938 as Associated Theaters once again took the reins at the Cameo. While the year saw a steady stream of filmgoers, the biggest news waited for the fall and winter. On September 15th, the heavy hitters at Famous Players cut the ribbon on the brand new Avenue Theatre. December 26th through 27th, in a lightning-fast turnaround, the National Theatre closed its doors on Boxing Day, only to vanish and reappear the very next morning as the Rio. December 28th, the Manor Theatre closed out the year by placing its first listings and welcoming its first crowds. However, it wasn't all applause. 1938 saw the final bows for the Arcadian, the Garden, the Kingswood, and B&F's Loretta. 1939, the decade's cinematic finale. As the decade drew to a close, the theater scene went out with a bang. On April 7th, the Metro Theater held its first screening. By autumn, Bloom and Fine were back in the spotlight, opening The Pylon on October 26th. The year and the era ended on a high note. December 25th, independent theaters gave the city a Christmas gift by opening The Colony. Meanwhile, in Etobicoke, 20th century theaters made their mark with the stylish debut of The Kingsway. Thanks for taking this trip down memory lane. If you enjoyed this history of Toronto's golden age of cinema, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the past.